right, I guess most are already present, so let's start immediately. Although I guess there's no one from Gateway, right?
No, Sergey here from Gateway.
Ah, all right. Well, do you have any updates for us?
So no major updates. The RPC was offline for 2-3 seconds during the day. Basically, that was because provider had some network-related work done. Now it's stable. Recently, a few days ago, we've also updated one of the nodes, and that's basically it.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Shader, do you have any updates?
Yes, so we are continuing working on the dashboard. We have finished basically the data collection part and already created like a Grafana dashboard, and now we're starting on like a proper web front end that normal users can use. And we also are continuing to debug our remaining issues. For that, we did like a long-running test overnight, and about 90% of transactions got included immediately. And for the remaining 10%, they had to be resent. So we have like an automatic resend service, but of course we want to avoid that. So we're looking into why those 10% have not been executed immediately. It doesn't seem to be a networking issue, at least not in the global network. So most nodes see the messages quickly enough, but maybe we have some issues in our access nodes, which our validators connect, or all the validators are supposed to connect to. So that's where we're investigating right now. And yeah, that's it, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, I also read something about the peer-to-peer discovery for keepers, presumably.
Yeah, so that's an ongoing discussion, I guess. The keepers already use kind of the default libp2p discovery using Kademlia DHT, but that's a bit difficult to implement for Nethermind, if I understood correctly. So and they suggested to do like a simpler discovery mode using basically broadcasting of peer addresses. Yeah, so we're also looking into this. It's probably not too difficult to implement, and it could also, and then we could also get rid of the access node. So maybe that's also a problem.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're also looking into our side, on our side, if it's possible to implement a simpler version of Kademlia, and also just finishing the shutter PR and making various like performance improvements and just general code refactoring. The most significant changes that me and Anders have worked on is being able to delay and wait for longer for shutter keys. But that's it at the moment.
Awesome. All right. Regarding testing, do we have any updates?
Hi. Regarding Hive test, we still facing with some errors and failed tests. So now Yaroslav works together with me to help with it.
I guess I can expand a bit on that. So we managed to set up like the proper debugging solution for the simulator, and right now we're trying to adapt the existing upstream implementation of Hive to the Gnosis, and yeah, trying to fight through the Genesis configuration, stuff like that.
Sorry, I don't know why my Google Docs was kind of bugging, so I wasn't able to. I didn't understand everything, but anyways, let's move on to Ethereum tests, which I think are a bit more important now, because Lion really wants to rely on them, basically.
Hello, guys. Well, basically, from the Ethereum test perspective, I am following this PR
I'm going to send it over the channel, so maybe Lion want to look at it too. That basically allows Nethermind to run the Ethereum tests, but it's of course hard code. Not say hard code is meant to be for Ethereum. So I am trying to dig in to see how I can make it work for Gnosis. So yeah, that's basically my updates. If you want to check on later, Lion, we can have a small chat.
Yeah, I definitely think you should set up a call or something, because it would be very helpful to have this right now. All right, let's move on to client updates. Nethermind.
Hi. So Nethermind just released release candidate of 128.0. The biggest thing for Gnosis will be enabled snap sync on Gnosis and Chiado by default, so it speeds up sync process a lot. And from Gnosis perspective, that would be basically the biggest thing for now. And right now we are testing. Probably early next week we will release the full one.
Awesome. What other changes did you implement in that release?
So we have a lot of bug fixes, especially including the Chiado one, which was discovered recently. Other than that, we have if simulate, so possibility to chain multiple if calls and to do a little bit more complex scenarios out there. And yeah, this release we were focusing also on some OP stuff. But yeah, mostly we are also monitoring the performance improvement. In my setup, I saw like 2 or 3% only of improvement on block processing. But on the other setup of one of our developers, we see like 10 or 15% of block processing improvement. We are still investigating why he has better results than me. but we also improved a little bit more the block processing stuff.
Probably some hardware bottleneck in your setup.
Yeah. This release was mostly about stability because the two previous ones were quite biggest on our end with a lot of changes, and this one were more about stabilizing things. And next one is also appearing to be another performance boost. So.
Awesome.
Kind of details, yeah.
Erigon.
So yesterday we released the second alpha of Erigon 3, introducing autosync. So it's a very fast sync algorithm for archive, full, and 4.4 nodes as well. We have this 4.4 mode, which we call minimal. And it also has some improvements for the chain tip performance, but it's not like chain tip performance is not fully optimal yet. Yeah, Lucas?
Is this sync downloading some snapshot data, or is it replaying the transactions?
No, it's downloading a snapshot data of a BitTorrent. It's just more like now we download more snapshots that are close to the tip of the chain.
All right, yeah. So for some context, I think I read a Gnosis Chain archive nodes could be synced in like 4 hours or something like that.
Yeah, it depends. Like now, depends a lot on the internet speed. But basically, yeah, to sync now with Erigon 3, most of the time is like most of the sync time is spent downloading snapshots, and we re-execute only a small amount of blocks to get to the tip of the chain.
Awesome. And so there are archive, full, and minimal nodes. I'm assuming minimal nodes are for validators.
So yeah, I need to double check, but I think minimal nodes is essentially like it's like a minimal node is like a full node, but without block history. So it's essentially a 4.4 node.
So we have something like that, like minimal node in configuration, but we do not recommend it, and especially it won't be desired for Gnosis Chain as long as we do not resolve EAP for force.
So yeah, for Erigon, I mean, we have our proprietary solution for force, which is our snapshot format, and we'll start documenting it more if other clients are interested in it. But I mean, for us, we don't see like this configuration is problematic because it's not asymmetrical. So say like this nodes, they only download. They basically download and produce a subset of Erigon snapshots, but there is no asymmetry, right? So they just operate on a smaller snapshot of nodes. Not like with light clients where light clients are essentially leechers. Here it's not like that.
All right, thank you for the updates.
Yeah, and maybe is Somnat on the call? Maybe Somnat has an update.
Yeah. So have you talked about starting to work on Shutter? So we're also planning to work on Shutter.
Yeah, so we like in maybe in about a month we have an engineer who's moving internally, and he'll start working on Shutter in Erigon.
Awesome.
Also, we have.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, just wanted to mention that we also have a QA testing enabled automated for tracking tip on Gnosis as well for both Erigon 2 release version and Erigon 3. So in case there is a regression introduced, we can be aware of it quickly. Two concerns, Erigon 3 might be failing the Ethereum Hive test at the moment, so by extension, the latest main branch might also be failing the Hive test on Gnosis. I plan to work on it probably next week, and I think there is an ongoing problem with Chiado snapshots availability in the network for Erigon 2, that some of the snapshots are not available for Chiado probably to download, since it's a small test network. There might not be enough Erigon nodes in the network actually seeding those snapshots for Erigon 2, and it's going to be even worse for Erigon 3 at the moment. So snapshot availability for Chiado, and by extension any testnet, might be a problem for a little bit till Erigon 3 is adopted fully, and it of course continues to be a problem in Erigon 2 if there are not enough nodes on the network.
Right, yeah, so that's probably the issue Guillaume had. All right, moving on to Geth. Oh, Marek first, maybe.
Oh, so sorry, I have a question about Ref, actually, not to Lion, but to Erigon team. So what that Lion have weak internet connection? So let me ask this. Maybe because the problem for that Lion is that he has different state root in Ref and Nethermind. And very likely it's because of some system calls in Aura. And my question to Erigon team is, if it is possible for in Erigon to somehow export state diffs, but not only in normal transaction, but basically everything that is happening in the node, maybe it will be easier to test with Erigon than Nethermind. If not, then we will do something here.
Yeah, well, in Erigon 3, it's we have state diffs on the transaction level, including system transactions, but I'm not sure whether there are any tools that expose it in a nice format.
Okay. So if you can check if you have any way to export it, that would be great. Maybe it will be helpful. If not, then we will figure it out.
I mean, I've been asking that question like for almost 2 years now. This is this is pretty much the story of my life for the last 2 years. This is currently what's bogging me down. It's it should be possible to export this. This is a tool that is really necessary, and it's really a pain to not have that. So I was hoping to do that with Geth once it works, but it doesn't work yet, precisely because I keep running into this thing. So yeah, I don't know what we do, but I'm really starting to get tired of that too. It's it should not be that hard to get some data, and I mean, I'm sorry if I don't want to sound aggressive to other teams. They've been helping me. I don't want to to pretend that didn't happen. But this is ridiculously complicated compared to what it should be. I'm just sorry. I'm just venting here, but something needs to be done, basically.
Yeah, but this is not a, let's say, Gnosis Chain problem, but generally the problem of mainnet as well, because we have more and more system calls in mainnet. So I think we should have something standardized across all the clients, how we can debug such issues, because all the tracing methods currently return only the normal transaction, as far as I know. But of course, Gnosis is more problematic because in the past we had even more system calls, right? But right now in mainnet we are having more and more system calls with Spectra and previously with Cancun.
So one thing, I know Geth has a tracer API. It's pretty easy for us to add the tracing to that information, but once again, I need to make sure my code works perfectly.
So Lion has a question. You specify the block to diff in full. I don't understand how you can state diff a single transaction and include the block systems transaction. If that makes sense. Question for Erigon, apparently. So how do you do those diffs?
Well, so they're stored in our database, but the thing is that they're compressed, right? And we need some tool to export it in a human readable format.
I'm not sure if that answers your question, Lion, but feel free to answer in chat. And yeah, okay. So moving on to Geth.
Yeah. So
sorry. The question is, okay, like what's the difference between like normal transaction and system block system transactions? Yeah, so we kind of introduced virtual transactions. Like at the beginning of a block, there is a virtual transaction, and at the end of the block, there is a virtual transaction. So we have like state diffs corresponding. In Erigon 3, there are state diffs corresponding to those virtual transactions. Yeah, but the problem again that I don't have about the instructions. It's in our database, but I don't think we have developed tools to export it in a nice format. So there aren't no ready instructions yet.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so Guillaume, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was able to join Shadow with Gnosis, with Geth, but yeah, there's been a few problems. One of them is that it does produce blocks, but apparently those blocks are invalid. So that's one thing I need to debug. But the other one is that as it tries to follow the chain, and unlike whatever happens on the Gnosis chain. I run into invalid blocks from time to time. I suppose these are what's that called? System contracts, but like I said, like I just ranted about, it's really hard to get the info. So what I was trying to do is to get Erigon to sync the testnet, but I ran into a lot of problems doing that as well. So thanks to Subnat, I discovered that there was a way to not use the snapshot. So I started doing this. But it runs out of memory. I only have 16 gigabytes of RAM, and I understand the requirements for Erigon are 32 gigabytes. So I had a question regarding this. I have two questions regarding this. The first one is, when do I know? Okay, what I tried to do, because I was running out of RAM, is to try to stop it and restart it. But it looks like whatever happens, even though it says writing block bodies, it seems to be restarting ever again. Every time I stop the sync and I restart, it starts from the beginning. Is that normal behavior? And all I want is to be able, the crux of my question is, all I want is to be able to debug one particular block. So I would like to have a synced shadow database and be able to debug the execution of a single block, like specific block. Is there a way I could do this?
I could give you the snapshots on Google Drive or something.
That'd be great. But once you give me the snapshot, how do I re-execute a given block? Is there a way to do that?
There are, like, you can obviously use a trace call, but also, like, as I would do it in your case, is not to use trace, but to probably stick a debugger into Erigon's code and pause at that block while it's executing, because your problem is execution and not block body downloading.
Absolutely. But okay, that's exactly what I've been trying to do. Like, how do I say when I see this block, because I have a block that's problematic. When I do see this block, how do I get to this situation that a debugger would trigger on that block execution?
So I think there are so many ways to do it. The way I do it is use Visual Studio Code, and I have a conditional breakpoint which would pause when block number equals XYZ.
Right. No, I understand that. All I'm saying is, for this to happen, for your breakpoint to be triggered, what I'm getting at is you need to execute the block, right? It needs to. Yes. So how do you get it? Because you're saying I can give you the snapshot files, that would be great, but then the block I need is already synced, right? So it would not be executed in that case. So my debugger would not ever.
No, so the way Erigon 2 works at the moment, so if you are using Erigon 3, it's different, no. Yes. But for Erigon
no, I'm using
2,
2605, yeah, 26005.
Right. For that one, the first stage is downloading snapshots. Then it would do some processing on it, and there's a stage 4, which it begins block execution from the first block. And then it sort of tries to execute many million blocks at once. And then it would go on incremental amounts. It would go again to download the rest of the blocks from P2P network and start executing them in much smaller batches, because say there are 20 million blocks and 19 million are there in the snapshots. They are going to be executed all at once, and then the last 1 million is going to get executed after they are downloaded from peer-to-peer network. So in your case, I would suggest if you're not getting the snapshots, you can just take the snapshots from me. I hope my node is synced fully at the moment. I could also try to give you the other files, but sometimes they don't work because of incompatibilities of file system, but we can try. What you can
Right.
do is just have the snapshots in the snapshots folder and rest of it just blank. So Erigon basically, so you start Erigon once, it would create the snapshots folder for you and everything else. Then you shut the network, put the snapshot files into the folder. Erigon restarts it, starts indexing the snapshot files. It finds that it has everything that it needs, so it would move on to the next stage, ideally.
Okay. That would be awesome, yes. I was just thinking, alternatively, if that method doesn't work, I would prefer this method to work. But if for whatever reason this method doesn't work, do you guys have an import command? I just thought about this. Like Geth can export its blocks, right? And I have all the blocks I have up until the block that doesn't work for me. So if I could like re-import all the blocks and basically do the same thing without the snapshot and everything and all the stages, would that work in Erigon as a backup solution?
There is an import command with the file that you would export, and this command is probably grandfathered from Geth itself.
Yep.
I hope it would work, but I have not used this for a bigger chain, anything more than say 10 or 15 blocks. So it might be very slow, or it might just not work because of the size. So you may try the import command in Erigon. If you feel that there might be difference in flags or something, you can always do Erigon -- help for the import command.
Yeah, I'll do that. But yeah, okay. So please send me the files if you can, if they're synced. That would be great. But otherwise, I'll try this method because I expect it to be brittle. But if there's no other way to do it, I'll try that.
Right.
Cool. Thank you. That's all for me.
All right. I guess that's it. Yeah, if sync doesn't work for Geth, we can also give you a machine with a bit more RAM if you want. All right.
Yeah, that might be an option.
Yeah, let's discuss this offline. Anything else? Any questions or comments? All right, then that's it for this week. Yeah, it would be nice, Marcos, to talk with Lion for the Ethereum tests. And yeah, I think that was it. All right, thanks, guys. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Bye bye.